Happy New Year to you all. Hope you all had great holidays. Now as the world settles back into some sort of normality, we can get back to playing some of our favourite indie games, new and old. And this video is going to give you some of the favourites in the scene coming this month. So let's jump in. First up, we have a game inspired by the 90s parkour platformers like The Jungle Book and Aladdin. The Cub sends you on a journey as the last remaining child on Earth, escaping the ultra-rich who moved to Mars after an ecological disaster. Using the fluid parkour system, you explore the ruins of Earth, finding the mysteries and tales of why Earth fell, all while listening to some banging tracks on Radio Nostalgia, which is the perfect name as the game certainly gives you that feeling, as you swing, dash and roll your way through a vibrant world of destruction and beauty. A rather unique take on the roguelike genre that I'm excited for is Mystical Map, which has the randomly generated maps that are core to the genre, but also allows you to control how you reach the end goal. With your mystical power, you can place dungeons, which contain a variety of enemies, but along your journey, you must also find items to place in these, to help you reach the boss and defeat them. The ambitious Crimson Heron Studios kick off their catalogue with an incredible looking steampunk RPG set in Victoria, London, Sovereign Syndicate, where you have a choice of 3 playable characters, each with their own story that will eventually intertwine. Rather than rely on dice, you are given tarot cards to use that you can collect via dialogue choices. The dialogue is accompanied by these stunningly drawn comic panels, really bringing the game to life. I absolutely adore the choice of bringing mythical creatures from different mythologies and folklore to the streets of London. But pick carefully as people interact with your race, gender and appearance differently. Unused skills will start to stagnate as well, meaning you have to balance out your options rather than rely on one skill in particular to make sure that all options are available. I think this is going to be a huge release later this month. Next up, we have the quirky cyberpunk action platformer Anomaly Agent. With its 80s flair and banging synthwave soundtrack, this game certainly feels like it's going to be a gem. The combat gives you the choice of long range and close range, while you can get creative with the environment around you to take on your enemies. You can escape these via acrobatic dodges. All of this is brought to life with some beautiful pixel art, which I'm a big fan of. There also seems to be some player agency in how the story pans out. As it states, you can save the world or plunge it into disaster. So it's definitely exciting to see how you can influence the story with your time-bending abilities. Another RPG coming our way is All Quiet in the Trenches, taking place during World War I, where you're a German officer, and you have to manage your soldiers' well-being and ensure they are fit to fight. Your actions won't change the results of the war, but could very much change the lives of your soldiers. As an officer, you must decide between that and the orders of your superiors. I feel like this is certainly going to be a really good take on the event, as something we don't explore too often, while seeing the everyday lives of soldiers can be a really educational experience. And we have something a bit spookier now with The Night is Grey, a point-and-click adventure filled with all sorts of horrors. This game explores the story of a man who stumbles upon a lost girl in the woods as he runs from wolves. I can just feel there's so much emotion tied into the game, as there always is with children in these horror settings. Not only this, but I feel there are going to be a lot of tense moments as Graham is seen traversing old caves, vast lakes and deep forests. With its immense soundtrack, I certainly feel like this is going to be a great game, especially with the trailer's intense cliffhanger. After 3 years in early access, Rising Lords comes out for a full release this month, a strategy game with board game elements where you build an empire in any way you like. Allow your knights to found villages and prosper, or make them fight and die in your name. But be careful, as peasants could revolt at any moment. It's not just the peasants you should be wary of, but the other lords as you build relationships with them and manage their fickle nation. Rising Lords will be coming to a Switch, Xbox and of course Steam. Taking us to the 9 realms of Norse mythology is Roots of Yggdrasil, a deck building roguelike where you race against time as you try to escape the endless void and reach the top of the world tree, collecting new cards and meeting fallen gods and scions along the way who can offer you new bonuses and modifiers. Roots of Yggdrasil drops into Steam Early Access on the 24th of Jan. Give Sonic a Gatling gun and you have Go Mecha Ball. This twin-stick shooter has roguelike progression, upgrading your arsenal of weapons and abilities as you take on the 4 diverse worlds. Despite its chaos, I feel there's going to be a lot of strategy involved, as I can only assume that different enemies have different weaknesses, some being affected by knocking them around in ball mode and others being shot down by the gun. Either way, your goal is to take them all out, including the massive bosses that scatter the worlds. Topped off with its chaotic soundtrack, this feels like it's going to be a really strong arcade experience. Embark on an adventure with up to 16 other players in Enshrouded this month, a survival action RPG that's world is reminiscent of the Elder Scrolls, with all sorts of weird and wonderful creatures, and a ton of mystery to be solved. I'm really impressed with the look of the combat in this, and combining it with the different types of weapons and magic looks like it's going to be really engaging, while the building allows you to reconstruct the worlds with villages, before you take on the corrupt fog to truly reclaim the lost beauty of your kingdom. Enshrouded comes our way on the 24th of January. Well, that's it for another month. Certainly a strong start to 2024. Is there any games you're excited for this month? Let us know in the comments, and if you want to keep up to date with the latest indies, don't forget to hit that sub button. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one.